The bone? Not my finger. The bone. Just the bone. My son's Which one? Yeah. Next to next. Sure you are. Why not?
Sonny, Teresa, anybody want to take notes?
If I take the notes, you won't be able to read them.
All right, go.
All right, so it is 6:02, Wednesday, February 7th. We will resume the Public Safety Committee meeting. And we will start with item number 4. Is there
Do you have the minutes? Was that motion and seconded?
it was
Okay. I don't have them in front of me. Okay.
so there was a motion and a second, and we were in the middle of discussion. Teresa, you had something. Do you remember where it was where we stopped?
I question whether or not there really is a lease. I know everybody's saying there's not a lease, but I think that there is a lease. I don't think maybe it's at Jessica's office, but there is a lease on that building.
Do you have one? Or have you seen one?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, you have it. Somebody might have it in this room. I don't have it. Before I give this to you, I want you to know that that meeting last time was not recessed properly. And I've been reading Robert's rules today to try to find out how that was supposed to have happened, and there should have been a motion and a second and everything else.
Okay.
So in the rules for the safety committee that everybody laid out, it says that we will follow Robert's rules.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to follow Robert's rules, everybody needs to be aware of what Robert's rules are.
Right.
I want that
So
back.
will you also agree with disrupting meetings is bad?
What I won't debate with you is, this room is small, and when you've got as many people in it as what we had the other night and stuff, it's not like being upstairs. No, I don't think it was disruptive at all. I don't think that you can say that people can sit here and not say a word to each other, because that doesn't happen in any meeting that I've ever been in. So I think that we need to check our feelings at the door and operate professionally and get through this.
Very well.
What was the lease for, Coach?
This is for, where is the, 1032 North Morgan Street, Shelbyville, Illinois. And it was made, the lease is made in date, the first day of October 2008.
October 1st?
Yes.
2008?
Yes. Now it is signed by the commander of the Shelby County Dive Team, and it is leased to the Shelby County Dive Team. Which is recognized in a federal court case as a part of Shelby County.
Are we going to debate court cases in here, and are we all attorneys?
It's not debatable, it's a court case.
What is it? Give me the specifics, and I'm not an attorney, so I need to know.
I've offered them to you numerous times, you've declined them. I can't help you if you won't take the documents that I offer to you.
You never offered me anything, Sonny.
We'll just
How
agree
did
to
you offer
disagree.
them to me? How did you offer them to me?
I offered them to the entire board. If anybody wanted them, copies of them, or wanted to see them, I am in possession of them.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what's going on here, so you need to go a little bit slower for me if you want me to take notes.
Minutes are not to be, minutes are not a word-for-word dictation.
So
It's
I'm
just a
still
general-
at whatever you said about lease signed by county.
Yes.
Shelby County document, and then
Yes,
what'd you
no,
say
it was
again?
signed by the Shelby County, well, this hand, it was, signed by the Shelby County Dive Commander under Shelby County Dive Team.
I mean, like, what'd you say about the court case?
Yeah, there was a court case that said that, I just want to be known that Shelby County Dive Team was recognized as a part of the county.
Oh,
And who signed that? It wasn't Austin. Who signed it?
I don't know. I
It
don't
wasn't
have it
Austin
anymore.
as the guy. Scott Incom signed it.
so it wasn't the commander?
It was at the time.
He wasn't.
Oh, okay. Just wanna make sure the notes are right.
Again, it's not to be a word-for-word.
It's not word for word, I've
It's
only
just-
got three
Discuss and,
things. I'm trying to get the main points
I
here.
understand.
Right. Let me know whenever you're.
I'm good.
So, is there any further discussion on that? You said it was signed by a private individual,
An individual.
but he is recognized as the commander of
At the
Shelby
time it
County.
was signed, he was.
So, he's acting under the jurisdiction of the dive commander from Shelby County. So it is not a public, just a private individual.
He's still responsible for it now, and he's not the dive captain.
Right, but he was at the time.
But he's a private individual right now.
But it's under, he signed it under Shelby County. So he was acting under the county.
Well, I guess if you take that and read it, yes.
Okay.
But as we go on with it and stuff, he's a private individual. He's not the captain of the dive team now. And he is still on the lease. He's still responsible for the building.
No, Shelby County is in charge of it. It doesn't matter who.
Scott Incoff is in charge of the building, Cody.
No, he's not. He signed it for the lease for the dive team. So no matter what, it still falls under Shelby County. They paid for the utilities and everything like that, so yes, it still falls under Shelby County.
They don't pay a monthly rent on it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
we just paid utilities on that building yesterday in finance.
yes.
Yes.
I don't, Mr. Incoff is not in charge or responsible for that building, Shelby County is.
Yes.
We've been responsible for that building since this $1 lease agreement was in effect. I'm not sure why this is a debatable item. The item of discussion is, should the chairman and the board chairman and this chairman have keys to the premises? Yay or nay? Not this lease situation. If it's an illegal act, then the tenant, the landlord, can contact the sheriff and the sheriff can sort it out. This lease conversation is neither here nor there.
So is there any other further discussion?
I have one more comment, that building is no more the property of the county than if you had a building over there in Windsor that you leased and stuff. If you signed the lease for it, that it's no more the county's responsibility to have a key to yours, mine, or anybody else's. I don't understand, don't look at me like that. I don't understand why anybody, Cody, Orman, Bobby Orman, or anybody needs a key to that building at this point. I think that it's all going to end up in a court situation, and then somebody other than this group of people that aren't attorneys are going to figure out.
Well, that will be discussed when somebody brings it forward.
I can tell you why.
So is there any further discussion on the building?
Yes.
Okay.
You need keys to the building because there is equipment in that building that is property of the county of Shelby, and we need to know that it is in good standing and in good condition. You absolutely should have keys to that building. We are the tenant. The county is the tenant of that building. and therefore the tenant should have keys. The sheriff has keys, and nobody's telling him that he can't have keys. He can access it anytime he wants to. And no one's told him he can't. So why not the board chairman? Why not the public safety chairman? It makes 0 sense.
Have you talked to community services and
No.
asked them why? They own the building.
Point of order. So we will go forth, if there is just going to be further bickering back and forth, we are going to move forward. So all in favor of saying to the full board for the public safety chairman and the board chairman access to the county dive building, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Where'd you end? 3 ayes, 1 nay. Okay. Passes. Discussion to vote and send to full board the migrant resolution. Sheriff McReynolds, I think he forwarded that.
I forwarded it, but it'd be Mr. Stan Shetty back there. I just put it on the agenda item. So Stan, if you want.
Thanks. Thanks, Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there a quorum here? I don't know everybody.
There's a quorum of the
There's
committee.
one. Teresa, myself,
Okay,
and these 2 others. There's 4.
okay. Thank you again.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm proposing a resolution to this committee that Shelby County will not spend or accept local tax dollars on illegal immigration crisis or the illegal migrants and or asylum seekers entering our county. The state and federal government is, I mean, I'm sure everybody's aware of what's going on down there. We're being invaded, and the state and federal government's left this a mess. And I don't think the Shelby County taxpayers should have to foot the bill. I mean, it's destroying communities, it's having to take them, and I just seen an article today that from one of the Chicago papers up there, they're supposed to, March 16th, they're gonna start kicking them out of city shelters. Well, you know what that means, south. So I think we need to have something in hand where we can say, you know, here we go, we just can't afford to spend money on those folks. And Effingham County passed a similar, about 2 weeks ago, almost identical to this, and had a 9-0 vote. And it was approved by their state's attorney. So they've already got it in place. And so basically, I mean, you can read through it if you want. I mean, I've got several I can hand out. But I'd hope that this committee would approve it so we could go to full board and then let them see if they want to approve it or not. Basically, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in here, but basically that's all what it amounts to.
Right. You do know that before we take any action, that it has to go through the state's attorney, correct?
Right,
Okay.
right, right.
Have you spoken to anyone?
No, I haven't.
Anybody?
No, I forwarded it to the sheriff, and I thought he would take care of it, so I don't know the state's attorney. So,
Can we have a copy of it? Can we have a copy?
and I figured this late in the day, because I was going to present
Did you
it.
forward that on, Cody? I sent it to you.
No.
Okay.
I was going to present it at last week's meeting, and after speaking to several board members, it was too strict and wasn't enforceable. So I got a hold of the county board member down in Effingham County, and I knew they passed it. And it was more reasonable, and it basically does the same thing. And but I don't think you could get it on tomorrow's meeting's agenda anyway, because it's
Right.
so late in the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're shooting.
I'm not trying to cut you off. I think you sent that today, correct?
Or yes.
Bear with me.
Yeah, okay.
I'm on night, so you
Yeah. I thought it was yesterday, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his updated one. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, just I don't know what the procedure is, but you know, get it to the state's attorney, let them look at it, and you know, I can stay in touch and see if we have to do anything or whatever. So, because I know I'd like to see it pass the county, the full board. So, you know, but you can talk to the folks down at Effingham and get their opinion. I don't know the state's attorney down there either. My contact's Dave Campbell. I think he's the chairman of the board. Or I don't know. But anyway, it went through their committee and so.
I will forward this on to the state's attorney and get his approval, and I will mention that it was approved by Effingham County. And then if he has any questions.
He can talk to those folks. And,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
and see what their thoughts was. And then the sheriff's got my email, and he can just keep me informed on what's going on. So
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks a lot, sir.
Was there bills for, she just approved them yesterday.
We had some bills in finance yesterday. I didn't know, Teresa didn't know if there were more bills or not more bills.
Should have just been in a folder. I don't know.
So there were the typical bills that we see here, which is water, electric, vet. I don't know if there was any others, but I don't know. I'm suggestive that she included all of them with finance, and we approved them all there yesterday.
So we'll just go ahead and skip that.
I don't know of any others.
Okay. We'll go to number 7, dive team resolution updating, discussion and vote to send full board. Sunny. Is there a motion or discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution update and send it to the full board.
I'll second that.
Did we get this in read-ahead material?
No, I've been working on it. You're getting it right now. Everybody's getting it right now. So, been working with insurance, treasurer, auditors, trying to make sure this is correct, so that we're one and done here and everything is taken care of. I spoke with Surma and Gallagher both. They advised us that in order for the volunteers to be properly covered under the county's workers' compensation insurance, that they needed to be paid per call. There is not a requirement for them to be paid for everything, but they do have to be paid to respond to the calls. We talked about some numbers with them about what was reasonable, what was unreasonable. I know some volunteers are paid $5 a call, some volunteers are paid $80 a call. They thought $20 per member per call would meet the threshold requirement that would take them from an unpaid volunteer to a paid volunteer. Spoke with the treasurer about that, and after she spoke with the county's auditor, the money needed for the call-out pay of the members can come from the current budget, and there won't be any need for any changes to the dive budget that we passed. I have reviewed documents from 911, and the best that I can gather is there are roughly 10 call-outs annually. That seemed to be an average. The last roster that I saw had 17 available positions. There were only 15 full, but taking the 17 slots, 17 times 20 times 10 is $3,400 a year. That number is being conservative because not all the members will respond to every call. And of the last 10 call outs, I could confirm that 5 of those, they were disregarded before they ever went. So as I'm seeing it, worst case scenario, there would be 10 call outs, 17 members. And if that number increases, you know, future boards can always make adjustments to that line item. Legal counsel has been briefed of the contents of the document. There were a couple of changes that were made, and those are in this draft. Everything as approved by all of those people are in this draft for approval.
This is an update of which one, which resolution? Do you know?
Yes, I do. Hold on. Sorry.
Now, being paid, that brings us up to what fire protection districts are also doing, correct?
That puts us in line with them, yes. It's right here, just 23-30.
I'll second the motion.
The other issue that we have standing at this moment is the ability to have a commander. The original draft had that the board chair would appoint the commander, an assistant commander, or commanders. At the July 18 meeting, that language was all stricken in an effort to maintain the current command structure. And so resolution 23-30 has no language in it to have a commander at all. So this fixes that.
Did you already second the motion?
Yeah.
Oh. Sunny motions. Cody seconds. All right, what else?
As customary with a lot of resolutions that update other resolutions, instead of amending the other resolution, this has a repealer clause that once this is passed, this one is it.
Does this resolution have a number?
It does not, because it has not been adopted by the full county board yet.
You were talking about 23 dash what?
23-30 is the current resolution that we passed July 18.
Okay, so you're going to do away with it and put this one in place?
No,
It's an amendment.
if we enact this one does away with 23-30, and this one is the one. As opposed to offering up 20 pages of amendments for 23-30, and then you've got a stack of documents that you're trying to sort through to see which one replaced which one. This resolution has a repealer clause that does away with all previous resolutions. We saw that in animal control. Animal control over the years, as they have updated things, the new update, the new resolution had a repealer clause that canceled out everything that was before it, and then that document became the document. If we do it this way, it makes it much easier for the clerk, because she has one document to track and not 3 or 4 or 5 and this amendment and that amendment.
Does this document just pertain to the dive and not the rescue?
That is correct.
So in your statements about talking with Gallagher and everybody else, are you saying that what they said about that we've had insurance all along is not true? I gotta know that.
I don't understand the question.
Oh, I think you do.
No, I didn't.
They were always insured. Everything that I've gotten and gotten copies of from the insurance company never said that they did not have insurance, that they were covered. Are you saying,
Point of order.
I can't even speak, Cody? What does point of order mean when I'm asking a question?
This has nothing to do with the insurance. This is just,
He's the one that brought up the insurance, Cody.
talk to them. We're not here to discern whether they had or had not had insurance.
Who do you think you are? I am part of this committee and I have the right to ask questions.
You could have, yes. But you are leading into something that has
You
nothing to
don't have
pertain
no
to
idea
this.
what I'm leading into. Can you read my mind? I'm just asking a question.
And
Now,
this
if he
has
does,
nothing to do with insurance.
what has nothing to do with insurance?
We are talking about this, not insurance.
He said that he's talked to Gallagher. That
About
is
why we're
insurance.
updating this. Now, is there any further discussion on this paper?
This is a draft document, so if we need to change it, it is on the full board agenda. If we need to change it, it is still draft. I can make adjustments, and then I can send it to the full board as soon as we pass it here, as passed from here as a draft.
Where is this repealer clause? I am not seeing.
Page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Paragraph 6. Page 1.
Okay, all right.
Can I ask a question? Am I allowed to do that? Why was this not attached to where we all had a chance to look at it prior to this meeting? I mean, you get handed something and you get asked to vote on it.
Because I've been working on this up until this afternoon. I was still working on it.
Well, you put it on the agenda.
Right, it's on the agenda. I'll sit here till 1 o'clock in the morning and go over it line by line if you would like to. I understand that that's difficult. It's 3 pages. I can appreciate the concern of not having it ahead of time. I've also been working on this and working on this and working on this, and they're seeing it too. So,
We can still make changes in the board meeting if we need to. You know what I mean?
Whatever. Told I can't ask questions about something that was stated, so whatever.
if you have things that you can't appreciate in this or want changed, now's the time.
Whatever.
So would you like to start reading it line for line?
I don't care. I mean, I can read it line for line.
What if I leave? If I leave,
What?
they don't have a quorum. I'm done.
Meeting over.
Quorum.
Well, that's gonna be a violation.
Any more than the other night? I'm
That's
done.
not what Cody did. No, it's not. Cody did it because you all were interrupting.
Didn't hear, I'm done.
Hold on. Teresa,
No, I'm done.
you're done. I
I'm
haven't
done
said
with this
anything.
meeting.
You want to talk to her, she's nuts, I do.
You're gonna walk
You
out.
violated her
saying-
Second Amendment rights by talking to her like that and telling her she couldn't talk about it. She's a board member. She has a right to ask
It's not-
questions about
that is
So
something.
you
not
don't
correct.
You're
wanna
not
see
gonna talk
this
yourself
resolved,
out of
you just wanna walk
this. She
out.
has a right, the
There's
community
not.
has a right
Yes.
to know what's on that,
Walk
so
out.
does she. So
About
he doesn't
this.
get to turn in
This is
today.
it. This has nothing
He
to do
brought up
with
the
insurance.
insurance, she did. What you did was wrong.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it was
Now,
not.
I bet you your constituents watching this will think it is.
They probably will think that it was correct.
I don't think so. I
I
think you
think
maybe
so.
want to check
The people of
yourself.
Finley sure do.
Check myself. Check myself.
Put the meeting in recess, Mr. Chairman.
He's gonna try to call another member for a quorum.
Now he's trying to put it in recess. We can't do that.
That's what, that should have happened the other night, when you made that
Okay.
step. That should have happened.
But
The vice chairman takes over when the chairman just decides to leave. That should have happened.
you're not in session, but I can say this, she's not in violation for leaving, you're in violation for making a draft report that you just claimed that you just finished today when you recessed last week. You can't bring new items to a recessed meeting. You just openly said that, Sonny, that you just worked on this draft up till today. That's bringing a new item to your
It's
agenda.
not a new item.
Yes, it is.
The committee had not seen that, that document was not
So if you
presented.
went to recess last week, would have been completed.
This is why I can't talk to you. You won't let me talk back. You won't let me answer.
Go
You
ahead.
have your mind made up.
Go ahead. No, I'm just stating
Okay.
fact.
The committee had not seen that. It was not brought to the floor.
But it was on the agenda.
Correct. Draft update was on the agenda. That's it. Not this specific document or that specific document. Draft resolution update. This document.
Yep.
There's no violation.
But you just completed it today. Is that why you recessed last week so you could complete it?
I didn't recess last week.
No?
I did not recess last week.
But you just presented the new item.
No, I didn't present a new item.
Well, if it wasn't finished until today, it could have been presented last week.
Right.
Right.
Duh.
Yes?
Just a question. Okay, so work comp, you were saying that they had to be paid $20 a call to be eligible for work comp.
So I want to be specific. I didn't say they have to be paid $20. I said they have to be paid.
Okay.
And because of budgetary concerns, that became a number that insurance is okay with, and I feel like we can sustain.
Is rescue squad being paid per call right now? So-
This committee does not address issues of rescue squad. It is not within the rules and regulations of this committee. This committee doesn't have any control over that division.
Isn't this the public safety?
Well, I guess my question would be then, since we're no longer really in a meeting and I'm just asking questions because the meeting hasn't been adjourned or recessed, we're just people talking. My question is, that should be a concern. If you're telling us that they're not covered unless they have to be paid something, and our rescue squad isn't being paid something, then they're not eligible for work comp. And I think that would be a big concern for anybody sitting on any committee on any board seat, would it not?
It is a huge concern that I am actively working on to resolve.
Yeah, and when you're making the call to the insurance company to talk to Gallagher about the dive team, is there anybody making calls about the rescue squad?
You would have to go to the rescue meetings and discuss that with them. This is public safety. Rescue does not fall under the purview of public safety.
You're on rescue squad though, correct?
I am in a public safety meeting. I'm not in a rescue meeting.
But we're not in a meeting right now because it wasn't, it's over. So I'm just asking you this.
Well, I'm at a loss for words because the gallery convinced one of its members to leave and cause us to not have a quorum.
We did not
so that we
convince
can
her.
have
Say
this
one more
debate.
time.
You guys spoke to her as a female is what caused her.
And there's
No,
a video.
you caused her to leave.
No, it's on tape.
Oh, I know,
Someone
I'm on
said, get up
tape.
and leave.
I'm on tape because the way you
No.
guys spoke to her is why she chose to leave.
I didn't
She
speak to
is
her
a board
anyway.
member. She's on this committee. And when you don't give her the time to speak, when it's her chance to speak, who's going to sit here and listen to that? No board member.
I never interrupted her.
No.
Well, then stop
You're
pointing at
chairman.
me and saying me. Tell him about
Why
it.
don't you stand up for her once and tell him she has the right to speak, but you don't?
I addressed the gentlewoman and I asked her what questions she had. I don't know what more you would like for me to do.
Have you proven
Is
anything
there a
the dive
reason?
team did
Like,
wrong, Tony?
what was the purpose of asking about insurance, if they were covered or not?
It's
Does
the
this
way
say-
you reply to her. You didn't have to be so rude and hateful. She is a board member.
Right.
She is on your
Okay.
committee.
So,
If
I
she
don't
had
have-
questions to ask,
See, this is why I
she had the
adjourned,
right
because
to ask questions. It was
about
open for
this.
discussion.
About this.
When you're talking about
Does
the
this
draft
have
and
to
what's
do
in there,
anything with insurance
he mentioned insurance.
that he talked to about what? Coverage
Exactly.
and payment.
So when she asks about that, she has the right to ask about that.
You were talking
You can
about
sit and
it.
huff and puff at me all you want, Cody.
You do the
We're
same
used
thing
to
that
it.
everybody else. Okay, really?
Where
You wanna talk
everybody's
about
used
this?
to it. Yeah,
Used to it.
let's talk about it.
Okay, so what was the whole interrupting last week?
So let's just say,
You interrupted last week. There was
I
some
didn't
people
interrupt
that
you.
were saying, "Oh, are you sure?"
I was behind
interrupted
camera.
anyone.
I
Look
went
at
right
that.
back and
Look at
listened to it. I
the-
didn't say a word
Okay.
in your meeting last week, so don't even say I
Okay.
said something.
Okay.
Go back and watch your
I
video
will,
footage.
because there's plenty of times
Really
that you've
wish you would.
interrupted during meetings and said, "That's not it."
You said it last
What do we
week.
need to
Okay.
I didn't interrupt you
do
last week in your shit show.
to move on?
Oh, so see, there's another thing, swearing. So it's
Yep,
okay to sit
But I'm
there
not
and
in the middle of
swear
your
at me.
meeting.
Why wouldn't people swear?
Just keep burying yourself.
I'm
Can
not-
we move
What?
on?
No.
What do
We're
we
gonna have
need to
this
do?
conversation.
It's not a conversation, it's a back and
It's-
forth, but I do have, when did the?
I mean, we need to
Sunday
get
The
this
way you
done.
just spoke
When
to
the dive
Teresa
team
May
separate
as an
as far
elected
as public
official
safety
is so wrong on your part,
Well,
Cody, and you know it. And if you don't know
This is
it,
nothing
you're
but-
just as bad as the other guys on this
This
board that
is
hate women, the way they speak to them at these
I hate
meetings.
women.
Said that she-
That
The
is
way you
that is
just
a
spoke to
ridiculous
Teresa
statement.
was
That
ridiculous.
is, that is,
Recesses.
You didn't even
Wow.
try to get her to stay and
wow.
finish this
Because
meeting.
I don't have to. I don't have to get anybody to stay. If they want to leave, they can
Or
leave.
whatever.
That's a choice that was made. I didn't
Maybe
make
you
that.
need to step down from the
Lori
chairman of
might
this
be
board
here.
then, 'cause
Oh,
you
here
can't
it
interrupt the
goes. We
meeting.
need to step down,
'Cause you
just
can't
like
interrupt the
with
meeting.
signs.
You guys all
Somebody
hear
said
this,
something.
right?
That is ridiculous.
So did anyone ever prove the dive team did anything wrong in a court? Ever?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the dive team and asking them to stand down. He had his reasons to ask them to stand down. Is anything proven in a court of law that they
Like
did
what?
wrong? You don't understand my question?
No, because it doesn't make any sense.
Of course it does. No one's proven to be guilty of anything on the dive team. Why did you
Who said that
adopt
they were
it?
guilty of what?
Gee.
Let me go back, so last week you said there was no lease. You were certain there was no lease. The chairman had called and spoke to community service, there was no lease, there was no lease. All of a sudden, there's a lease pop up and it belongs to the county.
No lease, no insurance, there was
But
an emergency and there wasn't.
The dive team was never properly formed, so it wasn't a part of
You're
the
still
county.
alive.
I know.
So, it wasn't, the dive team wasn't a part of the county because they were never properly formed until you guys properly formed them in July. So how does that lease, when it was never part of the county, stand in place to you guys? You can't have it both ways. Which is
Okay,
it?
so if it
They were a
wasn't-
part of
so
the
then-
county or they weren't a part of the county.
So if-
That building is to the dive team that was a part of the county or wasn't a part of the
So are you
county?
gonna let me ask a
Yeah, go ahead
question?
now.
So when it comes to that building, are you saying that if it's a public individual, then the taxpayers are paying on a public person's property? So then we should be able to go back and then that individual that signed it should be paying back all that money that the county's paid for
Okay.
rent and stuff.
Okay, but it's not about like what they're paying, it's were they a part of the county or were they not a part of the county on a building that,
What's the lease to them?
I think with tenant and landlord disputes, they're typically settled in a court setting, aren't they? I mean, if there's any question or contesting on either side, typically the state's attorney would represent you guys, and the tenant being whoever, you know, whether it
What
be
does that have to do
Scott.
with this right now?
Well, I'm just saying, if the question about who leased it, that's how you would solve it, wouldn't you? You take it to a,
I guess. if
I mean,
that's how everybody
it's not a
would-
lawsuit, it's not like we're, you know, one person suing another, it's just having a judge rule on whether you guys are the tenants or whether this dive team that didn't exist until this resolution was passed is the tenants, you know?
Well, we could figure that out.
I mean, that's just,
I'm on the 708 board, and according to them, it was rented for $1 to the county dive team for the county.
but the thing is, the county dive team wasn't a part of the county is what you guys were saying. They were never established as part of the county, so that's what we're getting at.
Still
You can't
Shelby
have it both
County
ways.
Community Services Building.
It is definitely community services building. It definitely is, but that doesn't mean it's your guys' dive team that you just formed in July of last year building.
but even if it is a community services building and there is a certain individual or other group, if you call the Shelby, let's just rename the Shelby County Dive Team for a second, just Shelby Dive or something like that.
Right.
Okay? It
That's
has,
convenient.
well, I'm just saying, the resolution.
I know exactly what you're just saying.
The
Go ahead.
resolution is also convenient because the resolution that was passed in July to officially make them a part of the county says Shelby County Dive Rescue Team. It does not say Shelby County Dive Team. So that's also convenient. But anyways, let's just rename them Shelby Dive for a second. And the lease is between Shelby Dive and the community services. You see how Shelby Dive, just because that is county in the name, doesn't necessarily mean it's part of the county unless you have formation documents to prove that it was part of the county. And has anybody found those? I mean, we're still curious as the public.
What are you looking for?
Well, that was the narrative told to us earlier in
It wasn't
July.
a narrative, it was a fact. What are you looking
That
for?
we weren't part of, the dive team wasn't part of the county.
It had not been properly formed under the county umbrella. That's
So the
correct.
building.
So if they were never
building-
properly formed, how was this lease properly executed and signed on behalf of the county?
Exactly.
Either was or wasn't, but we can't have it both ways. That's all the public's interest in this, is we need to get to the bottom of whether.
You're also interested in twisting things around to fit however you see life too, so,
No, Tony, if it wasn't for you, we'd have a dive team.
oh,
You
Jay.
accuse them of all kinds of crap.
I disagree. I think at my
I know
core,
you disagree
well, I think
with
at
everything.
my,
Of course.
I don't think you and I have never really talked. I have
We
never
have
really.
talked quite a bit. You told me 2 days ago that we couldn't recess for more than an hour. You were wrong about that.
No.
You said a lot of things that you then turn, you have private conversations with me that then when we come in public, it's totally different, Mr. Shanks. So, are we public Mr. Shanks now, or are we gonna have a private conversation? A lot of you all do that. You have private conversations with me that do not seem to be the same when we're in public.
My interest is in the county being protected with a dive team.
And that's what I'm trying to do,
And that's what the city is trying to do.
okay?
You have a dive team with no members, the city has
And why is
the
that?
potential to get.
Because they all quit because we were trying to
Didn't
protect
you?
them.
Because you couldn't prove they did anything wrong.
I was trying to
Tony.
protect
Never.
them from day one.
Yeah,
That was my goal.
I wasn't there in that scenario, but
Okay.
Austin and it seems to think otherwise, and certain team
Correct.
members seem to think otherwise.
Sure,
I wasn't a part of those private conversations.
sure.
I can't say that I was witness to that, but that's their contention, that's their belief, and they're the ones that are going to be diving in the water because I don't see anybody else, trying to.
That's
do
right.
this. So as far as this resolution goes, if there was an interest to get this restored to the county, I think I would be sitting down with these members that were formerly a part of the dive team with that resolution and saying, let's try to work together to solve this.
We did that.
Well, it seems like we're just drafting the
We've
resolution
tried
at the very
that
last
numerous
minute.
times.
Saying
You
we're
know, the
about-
last resolution, we actually had Austin come up and go through it, and he agreed on everything, and that was passed, and then they quit, so we did try. I also put it in that resolution that we will extend everything up to 60 days to do the SOPs and SOGs, to sit down with those dive team commander and the assistant commander.
This
So we did try
resolution does not have SOPs, it does not have SOGs. Those need to be worked on from the commander, because the people that are on this committee are not qualified certified divers. We never attested to be qualified certified divers. But I can tell you for a fact, when I call my insurance company and I say, is this covered or is this covered, and they stutter, you have a problem. And when I contacted them, they stuttered. That's
Oh,
all I
they
needed to
stuttered?
know, we had a problem. If I call my insurance company and say, is my 2003 Beater Chevy covered under insurance, she says yes. And when I said, are these members properly covered? Well, I gotta ask this guy, well, I gotta ask this guy, and you've all seen the email threads, they went from the bottom to the top and back down to the bottom and everywhere through, and there were multiple statements from high up in insurance companies that their coverage was highly questionable.
Oh, come on.
Now, if you understand what highly questionable is in terms of insurance, it means when the rubber meets the road, you don't have it.
Show us where that said highly questionable. Show it to us.
Well, it's amazing it took 23 years to come up with that.
Yeah, shame on the people that were here before me. I agree with you.
Oh,
Shame
yeah.
on everybody.
But
No, you.
the insurance is what I'm getting at, Sonny. I'm not pointing a finger.
I
It's
agree.
just amazing it took 23 years to discover that.
Clint, I can't agree with you more. It is amazing that it took 23 years.
So did you prove they did
It is
anything wrong,
Yeah.
Sonny? Come
But
on,
I
tell
do
me.
have
That was
a
a
question,
proof
and
that they did
I
anything
will let you
wrong.
answer
So
so you
what
don't
are
feel
you
like
getting
I'm
at?
Because,
They did something wrong.
because you said they
When
didn't
did the-
follow the
when did the
SOP.
separation
You said
between
it
the
was
rescue
emergency.
squad-
I have
Someone
no
did.
idea,
It was
Clint.
not
I
an
wasn't
emergency.
here.
They didn't do,
What
they
was
had
Public safety
insurance.
meeting, you were in
He's
charge
talking
of
about
the
the
rescue squad, the dive
requesting
team.
the camera from
Correct.
5 counties
You are?
over.
What-
It said in their SOP that they're
When
supposed
did
to
the
ask for a fee.
separation of,
Well, the
Dive-
public just
Public
followed
safety.
what was
Yeah,
passed by
a
his
resolution.
trustees.
No.
and That's what
Yeah.
the
Public safety
Sunday got the
committee,
conversation
right,
on.
which is a whole.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but you can't
How
trust.
come we gotta go out to the
Right.
trustees
But
meeting to
At
talk
the same
about the
time,
rescue squad?
if you're given a
Because they're not
set of
under public
documents which
safety.
you were told to
They're
follow
under
to the letter,
that
and you
committee
follow them to the
that was
letter,
there when this board was
and
seated?
then this guy says, well, you're in the wrong
Are they
because you
legal?
followed them to the letter.
Is rescue
So,
squad
I mean,
running legal under the
That's where
county?
the
Yeah,
blame.
that don't make sense to me because
Of course
This
they do.
this
whenever I
situation
was
is more
chief of
complicated
the rescue
than
squad,
some of the
dive
board
and
members
rescue both
realize.
were out there.
With the July
I wish
18
that you and I could
resolution,
have some dialogues back and forth.
the
because
oversight
we could get
of the
productive
dive
and we could maybe get
team
them
was
back to the table.
moved.
Okay. So yes, that answers your question.
Public
We're
safety.
just gonna ramrod this stuff
So
through
they're not running
and not listen to what
legally
them
under
old
the
guys said, they
county,
just
the
said,
rescue squad?
just don't pay attention
I'm
to them.
not
they
answering
don't
questions
matter
about the rescue
That's not
squad and
gonna
public
accomplish
safety
anything.
committee meeting.
We're no longer in a public safety.
Well, I'm not answering those because we're not in a dive and rescue.
Because-
You know the answer,
Because the answer is
Trish,
yes.
unfortunately.
It's in that resolution.
And they also don't
Okay.
have
The current
insurance.
thing.
And that's why you
current
shut the
SOPs
dive team
and
down and
except
you've
for
said
the
that they're not
charging.
paid the rescue
Here-
squad for
here's-
calls.
agreed to.
So they don't
Here's the
have
thing.
insurance for work comp.
That SOP.
So that's the whole reason
SOP
DI got
extension,
shut
the
down was
60-day
because of
extension,
supposedly no insurance.
was
But
talked
you're
about
saying
and
rescue
discussed in
squad
a
does not have work
closed
comp
session.
insurance because they're not
When they
paid.
came out of closed session, most of the
My
dive
other
team members,
question
and I can't
is
speak for all
because
of
you
them,
told me they
most of them
don't,
took that as,
is why is it on the
they're buying
agenda
60
item
days to
to
replace
surplus
Austin's
rescue
plan.
squad vehicles if you don't have.
whether it was
Say
correct or
that.
not,
Said
that's how
we-
it was perceived.
It's stated in that thing
Good
that
question,
it will
Clint.
keep.
So, Sonny, that's why everything and
The
everybody's.
current command structure would stay in place for 60 days.
It's not
If you read that
wishy-washy.
statement, just
How can you
isolated.
have an
and
agenda
it wasn't-
item
You weren't a part of the closed session.
surplus and rescue
And
you
then
would
squad
say
also
equipment?
that
Current
You don't have
command
no
structure
authority
stays in
over it.
place
It
for
was at the
60
dive
days.
shed and
Well,
it
they-
isn't
They're gonna,
registered
they're
in
gonna
Shelby
find a way to get rid of them in
County.
60
It's
days.
sitting,
That
no,
should
it's
have been a
not, it's
question
just
that
sitting
was
on
asked, but
the
it was
property
not
there.
asked.
Yeah.
It's in the rescue squad
Stay
to
for 60
surplus
days to give us a
the
time
provide.
frame.
Okay, were
that's
you here
how
for that first meeting?
SOP
That was not.
Hold on.
There was
How can
no
you surplus it if you don't have the power over
Well,
them?
that's
You
what
want
was
to
discussed
answer?
after the whole
The
dive
answer
team had
is,
resigned. And then it was, well,
that
that
was
60
an
days.
improper agenda
The
item.
60 days.
And I asked the chairman to skip it, and we skipped it, we did not take any action on
It
that.
may have been talked about
Because
before in
Bravada
here.
does not fall
where
under public
Foster
safety.
was not present, the dive team members were not
There was
present.
no
And so that's the
action taken on
problem.
the
This whole
Bravada.
thing stemmed on that closed session meeting.
First of all, we spent way too much money on it
Well,
for me to
we
say,
could have
yeah,
more
just go cut
discussions
it
where I
up.
could probably
We
try
spent
to
over
show you
$1,000
otherwise.
getting that
I mean,
fixed.
if you're
I totally
open-minded
agree.
to it and you want
So
to try
I
to
would
resolve
just
this,
chop
and you
it
want
up.
to try to
It
get
was
the county
bought
protected
with
again. let's have
fundraiser
some
money,
formal discussion.
so it should be sold.
If
And
public safety cannot sell
Send me an
items that
email.
belong
Send my
to
phone-
or
emails
register
on
to
the
or
website,
part
my
of the
phone
rescue
number's
squad,
on the
because
website.
that's the rescue squad committee,
Why
not
doesn't
public
anybody
safety.
reach out? Why are we waiting until now?
And that's what is in the minutes, that's what's on video from the last meeting that we recessed. No action was taken on the
Said
Bravada.
anything about turn people
because
away
it's
or
me and Randy
anything.
legal, you admitted that too.
Right, but there's
What?
been situations that have arisen since then, like a city dive team, where they were just
I'm
trying to get
working on it,
coverage,
Clint.
at least for now,
This
so
isn't
the county's
helping
not
them.
uncovered. And you're just like, I have no interest in the city dive team. Instead of talking to them and saying, why are you folks
Yes.
wanting to go with the city dive team route? Well, because we can't have it on the
I mean, do
committee
you
without
want, do you
Sunday.
want me to shut the rescue squad down too? That make you happy?
Are you gonna
Absolutely
make me
not.
happy?
Okay.
You
They
see
would-
what happened when you
They
get to
would
the dive
probably
team?
entertain.
So then we won't have a
if
rescue
would-
squad either. That'd be
would
awesome.
create a committee, just like rescue has
That's
their
you
own
making
committee.
that call.
Why do you
For
think all
Don.
that
Not one
equipment's yours?
person's ever
but-
said to shut the rescue squad
Some
down.
county board members on it.
You just did on
They probably
camera.
would come.
I didn't tell you to shut him down.
Yes, you
Nobody-
did.
That
nobody's
never
ever reached
came out of my
and tried
mouth.
to-
It
tried to
never
hash this
has.
stuff out, I think.
Ever.
Do you want me to shut the rescue squad down?
No.
That's to come out of your
Okay.
mouth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was
Those
your
guys
mouth,
told
not
us.
mine.
So you do not want me to shut the rescue squad down?
No, I
He didn't
don't.
appreciate
Thank you.
anything that he did, that he was a liar.
We want you to
think
get
Austin is
them
gonna
properly
work?
formed,
What do
like
you
the
think I'm
dive
working
team.
on?
He's gonna have
I
another
can't
trustee
say
board.
what.
I can't get,
But-
Working
the
on
dive
means
team.
working on.
I can't get the
It's
dive
been
team
since
fixed
July of
because
last
you keep
year.
stonewalling.
We're in February.
He's
Yeah,
working on
but
that.
that's
Don't take
easy.
that
He's
long.
the one-
I
You
know.
have no
He's
idea
the
what
one
it takes.
proposing.
Oh,
You have
trust me.
zero idea what it
I've done
takes.
my
that
research
So it's
here.
not just one of the
Trust
seven.
me.
He has
So
some
how does it
influence.
work?
I know, but he has some
What is it
influence.
that I'm not doing?
And that's
We
what
need
the
somebody
president is
else
not
on your
interested in
spot that'll
entertaining
get you
that. If Orman would say, you know, we're gonna create this committee, and it's gonna be of these other board members, and we're gonna try to move forward, and we're gonna work with the former dive team to come up with a solution that works for everybody, there would be a dive team, I'm almost certain of it.
They didn't get anyone else to come.
I know.
There's
They already adjourned.
Well, when you talk to
6 of
people
us,
the way they talk to people, what do they expect?
7 of us, will be 7 of us, other than just
Can't
one,
blame it on
so.
the public this time.
Public advised her, who was sitting in the public,
Not one
advised her
person
to
told her to
leave.
leave.
I'm not.
She turned around and said, I'm gonna leave. Those
Yeah.
are her exact words.
But he gets a vote on any time that they want to do something
I'll trim that
equipment-wise or
video
anything
down
like
and
that.
send it to you so you
And
know
they even tried to do
that not
the,
one
all
person
the
over
trainings
there
have to be
told her to
approved and everything. I don't quite agree with that because,
Have you ever
Don't
been on
send me
fire
anything,
protection?
please. Don't
no, I
send me
haven't, but I live
anything.
right next to one. Okay, and let me tell you why.
You just
This
told
is another
everybody
thing
to
you and I should
communicate
probably
with
sit
you if
down
they
and
have
hash
any
out.
questions or
Dive
concerns,
teams
and
are
now you're
totally
telling
different than fire
Everybody
protection.
citizens to not.
Well, but
Yeah,
they are.
that's
And
because
if
you don't
if
want
you-
the
if you
truth.
Oh,
want to prove
I
that,
know what the truth
you could
is.
go around to
Not
other
one person
dive
ever
teams
told her
and
to
ask
leave.
how they operate. What are their differences? What are their similarities? They're not the exact same as fire protection districts.
They're not, but they have to They have to. You can't just because of this reason and that reason, you have to have training, right?
Yes.
I don't
You
know
have
why
to have
you wouldn't want
documentation.
one, or why you wouldn't
Do
try
they
to
still
get
fall underneath like
Why
the
you
fire
get rid of the
marshal
one you
or
had?
anybody else?
I don't believe so.
Teresa walked out while we're trying to pass a resolution to solve all the problems with the dive situation and have them all properly reestablished
Probably
and
yes.
proper. Everything
OSHA has to have
is
that
done with this
documentation.
That
document.
resolution
They have to
doesn't
have
follow the law, the
They
resolution's
have to
worth
actually
nothing.
go
It
to
follows the law.
the
Okay, but
supervisor
so
if they
I'm not
want.
saying it doesn't.
It follows the law.
It doesn't.
Teresa walked out and stopped it.
She was asking
There
a question
was-
that got point of order.
Yeah,
for
she
no
got-
reason.
She asked
But
four
not
more
all the
questions after
similarities between
that.
fire protection districts
How
they
many-
got
is she
applied.
limited?
That's
How
the
many
one of the
questions?
craziest
No,
thing is.
it's-
I addressed her.
You have to have paperwork.
You
have to
asked
have
her
training.
in that.
And they have-
or you
I believe they
addressed
have
that
paperwork
thing
better
right there
trainings
about
on
the insurance.
And I didn't tell her she
But
couldn't
one of
ask
the
me
reasons
about
that,
it.
that the training
She's
stuff.
wanting to go off on a tangent
I've
on
seen
things
fire
that are
departments
not
do
in
that
that.
control burn stuff where they
Issues
take
that we've already
a dilapidated
resolved.
building or something that was, you know, condemned by the city and they go ahead and say, well,
She's
it's out here
asking
on this day
questions
or
to
whatever.
be
every time
argumentative,
we're gonna
not
have a
seeking
training and we're gonna go
answers.
ahead and take
Her
care of
questions
burn
were
that.
answered in
do that,
July, they've been
you know,
answered in August,
courtesy
they've
for the
been
village
answered
or
in
the city or
September.
whatever.
They've
But
been answered.
those things are things you can
Questions, she's
predict ahead of
argumentative.
time. Okay, what if you're doing a
No,
training?
not every question
with,
is argumentative.
You
Well,
know,
rainwater.
it's argumentative. What's the difference?
Well, there's no different. I guess I just don't have to
No, I
answer
know you
her.
can't predict
I was trying to
fire, which,
answer.
you know, once it gets
She
going,
walked out.
what's gonna happen. That's
We-
up to.
We all know why we don't have a dive team, son.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm saying, you
Sure
can,
do,
you can
don't you,
hash out
Jake?
a training date next week or next month or whatever that you're gonna do that controlled burn at.
Right.
But if you have like rainwaters that they wanna train in, because that applies, it makes the
Okay.
situation so that, how can you schedule a training where you know there's gonna be rainwater? You can't. So you have to just take advantage of the fact that it's raining all weekend long, we're gonna hold training on what we do and how we operate in rainwater conditions.
Do you still document that though?
I think, I've never been on a dive team, so I don't know, but I'm assuming that they do.
Okay.
But the whole approving it ahead of time, how could you approve ahead of time for a rainwater scenario?
If conditions arise that require a change in the training schedule, or conditions arise that indicate a change in the training schedule would be more beneficial to the Shelby County Dive Team, the commander will communicate those needs and request the change with the Public Safety Chairman. If the Public Safety Chairman is unavailable, the needs and requests for a training change can be made directly to the County Board Chairman. It starts raining at 9 o'clock in the morning.
But was that
You've
on
got-
the original resolution?
Yes,
And
and we
that's
had to
in
strike
short.
it out. It wasn't the exact same language, no. I corrected some things
Yeah.
that
I don't
were
think it was
obviously
the
in
exact
error
same
on the
language.
first.
I think he's
I
learned
can't-
some
I
stuff
don't
along the
have-
way.
I don't
I think
have
he's
that,
learned
so I
some
can't
stuff
say
along the
yes or no.
way. But the idea that they're exactly the same as fire protection districts or very, very similar is incorrect. And I think if you went around to the various dive teams in the state and started asking questions and asking how they, you know, operate or why they do this differently than the fire protection district, you'd get some answers to formulate some of this stuff. Or you could work with the former dive team that was here. I mean, but I just don't think you should just start ramrodding some of this through without knowing what's going on or how they operate. I mean, he's never been a dive commander. You've never been. And I'm not saying that they're better than fire protection. I'm saying
I don't necessarily say you
I don't-
are.
I don't know why we.
I appreciate first responders in all respects. You know, I appreciate the sheriff's department and all the good work that they do. I appreciate all the good work that fire protection districts
No, I'm
do.
just asking.
You know,
But
and
there
I
has to
also
be a lump
appreciate.
sum of-
Because everyone keeps trying to compare the dive team.
But I
That's
also,
all I'm saying.
but I also
The dive
appreciate
team-
having the dive
Wait,
team.
wait,
And that's my concern and
It's
interest.
just
is that we
everybody
get this
keeps wanting to
solved.
compare them, and there's no
And the
smart.
way to get this solved is not throwing the baby out with the bathwater and starting from scratch. It's working with the former team to get this going because it's gonna be 5+ years.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
It
He
needs
just
to-
says, Mr. Shanks.
It's two different
Which
entities.
former dive team members are you talking about that we can work with?
Well,
I wouldn't give names, they can go down the list and call them, because
I'm sorry,
you
So-
throw people out there.
I don't know who they
You
are.
could throw people out there, or we can have a discussion.
I mean,
Well-
you just keep saying that, so I don't know.
okay, I'll tell you
Not
this.
trying
There's
to
a lot of
be
members to try
argumentative,
to, I
I'm
mean,
just
there's a
trying
lot
to-
of members to call and try to have a
15.
conversation with them and see if they'll
Where's
talk to you in
Clint
that.
Number right here.
The dive team in its
Are you-
current and well, it's not currently operational or whatever. I mean, you guys can say it is, but it's not. Anyways, the dive team in its current form or previous form, I'm not talking about the 1970s dive team, put it that way. It was kind of broken up and reformed over the years. But the most recent one in the early 2000s, that was Scott Incock. And that was kind of his baby. You know, he started with a department with nothing, no budget. What was the budget, like $2,000 a year?
Yes.
Again, I'm not bringing back all the names because God only knows where the heck that'll go, but
Okay.
in early 2000, do what?
But you can't.
So in 2000, it was together.
Her alone.
Right.
Give her names. Don't put them out to everybody.
Okay,
And
well,
then
I'm
let
saying,
her-
he,
And that, we've said this like time and time again. In early 2000s, they were together, rescue squad and dive team. The rescue squad chief at the time, needed some assistance. So it branched. Scott Incoff ran the dive team, the rescue squad stayed on that. And that's the way it spurred and stayed that way for 20 plus years. In 2018, early 2018, I believe, Scott Incoff wanted to step back and let the assistant commander be commander. And that was awesome.
but Scott took that team, which it was just a couple guys and a $2,000 budget, and they didn't even have real.
No, it was very low.
They were housed in the old building that they even put the sandbags in. He was able to, that worked the deal with community services and did all the legwork on this. He's put thousands of unpaid hours in this, and he would never take a dime of any of the credit on this. And this is the guy, I mean, yeah, there was a guy that started in the 70s or whatever. I don't think he'd even around anymore. But Scott is the first part I would start with. And he's a very level-headed guy. His emotions aren't wrapped up in this. He can tell you, you know, exactly what you would want to do to try to move forward and try to fix this. And he's on that lease, so you probably should be talking to him anyways, because you want to get his opinion as to whether he's legally the tenant of that or if somebody else is. But Scott is not a guy that's gonna, I mean, he's a very, very good guy. He doesn't have beef with pretty much anybody. But that would be a good starting point, because starting from scratch, trying to train divers and stuff, I mean, if you can get some people interested and do that, it's gonna be years in the making. And Shelby County does not have years. The spring rains are starting to come. He said 10 calls on average a year. Some years there's 15, sometimes there's more than that. Those calls do not want to go unanswered. And I don't know the status of Effingham County or Moultrie County, but they're not gonna keep just coming here and doing this stuff. And it's not fair to them, it's not fair to the taxpayers of Moultrie County or Effingham County to foot that bill either. So you gotta, I think the problem is
Do
people
you want to join the Shelby County Dive Team?
ironically, I would consider it. But I don't want to join a dive team that has 0 experienced commanders and nobody that could train me properly. So I do have that interest, but I don't feel like I could exercise that interest right now. My dad is at the age, and that's part of this whole thing, is that early on, my dad resigning, you know, he's at the age where he was supposed to stop being on the dive team years ago. You know, he held on because it was important to him, because it's important to Scott, because it's important to these core group of guys that built it up from nothing. He held on and dived way past when he was supposed to, just so that he got that Jordan Davis is the newer diver that was took over to replace him. And Jordan's a younger kid. He's just been on the dive team for only a couple of years. He was looking forward to a long career of this, but he's, you know, until this situation resolved, I can't speak for Jordan, but I think his opinion is that if this was to get resolved, that he would probably come back. You know, my dad, he's getting too old for this. If this was resolved, and you know, if I had properly or experienced people that could train me, and I wouldn't, you know, say no to it. But I don't have that opportunity right now, and I feel like that's all we're doing is just prolonging this and prolonging this and prolonging this, and just try to start a new team from scratch. I mean, like I said, Scott started that in 2002 or whatever. Not started it, but kind of took the reins of it, and it took, you know, 20 years to get the equipment that they got, and that was all miracles. I mean, that was that private donor that donated that command truck. That took a lot of begging, and I mean, it wasn't something that just landed in a lap, and it's not something that the county paid for either. I know it came out of the county's checking account, because technically you have to donate the funds to the county and then the county. But all that stuff took thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, and it just doesn't need to be thrown away.
I was with the rescue squad.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, that's the problem. We just need to get it figured out. And we can do that. Cooler heads can prevail.
I'm not disagreeing.
But I guess doing that takes discussions where we're not hurling accusations, either
Right.
side.
Right.
And it takes just trying to work together to say, what do we need to do to solve this?
Yeah.
And it may not be that Sonny gets everything he wants. You know, maybe on a committee that he doesn't even sit on. It may not be that Orman gets everything he wants. It may not be that you get everything you want. But there's got to be some compromises made to fix it.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
So it's meeting over with?
But I think one of it is
It is.
how you guys address her when she does have a question. It doesn't
Call her or
matter if it's
how
a
you do it?
I
PowerPoint or
think
not.
there's
It's
a
just
member
question
that's
here.
on their way.
Seriously.
Oh, so you're not,
You
it's
made
not
that
done in
known
recess?
last
I
meeting,
guess-
some meetings prior to that.
Oh.
All these people.
I don't remember
know.
how that's gonna pick
Sit
back up.
back there.
I don't know
She had
what's
every
in
right to
the
ask
order
that
on the
question.
thing.
I mean, I really
That has nothing to do with this.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you said
Down the hallway,
something.
when I come
because
back in,
My
I'll-
wife has said some of the stuff that you said to her and it wasn't
Oh,
very,
Christine.
very nice too.
That's all there, dude.
Can't say one thing and not the other though.
What do you mean?
You can't talk to my wife like shit and then expect me to,
You're in a
Say
public meeting.
whatever.
We can have a discussion in the hallway.
no, say it right now.
Technically, we're not meeting.
Well, social media doesn't have anything to do with the county board meeting.
Meeting's never been recessed. With public comment.
It's all in the float.
Just because I'm straight faced and I don't have all this whatever, that doesn't mean I'm talking bad and down people.
She was just asking a question
That had nothing to do with what we were discussing.
of what he brought up, is what she
And
said.
that has
I didn't even
nothing,
hear
coverage had
exactly
nothing to
what
do.
she was asking,
Had nothing to
but
do.
it doesn't matter. She doesn't get point ordered for a question she's asking.
It does if it has nothing to do with the discussion at hand.
It's because it wasn't your agenda, so.
Well, I
disagree.
think what she was trying to lead in with the insurance question, and I can't speak for Teresa, again, it's just an assumption, but with the workers' compensation thing, the pay per call, I think she was trying to question that because they had been on several calls before that. And there was actually an incident where they were covered under workers' compensation, just like there was an incident on the rescue squad where they were covered under workers' compensation. So that argument about how there was one workers' compensation incident that was covered under rescue squad, so they're at least a little bit more better there is what somebody uses their department. But as far as I know.
I've never heard.
Well, that would be public record, because if there was a work comp claim, it
I've
could,
asked for it, I couldn't find it, that's why I'm asking
Okay.
you.
well,
You're telling me that there was one, I'm asking you when it was.
I
I didn't
can't,
ask for the name, I said when.
I didn't say that, I told him not to reveal it.
Yeah.
We're just having,
I am going to tell you right off the bat, I just sent Teresa a text message asking her to come back
Thank you,
so we
Julie.
can all sit down as a group and have this discussion. I don't like I was watching it while I was at work. The turmoil within this board is about to end me. And I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I sent it to her. I said I would listen to her with an open mind, and I would appreciate if she'd come back. If she doesn't want to, I understand, but at least I made an effort. Because
Thank you.
I can't take much
You
more.
can't.
but anyway, I don't even know if it's true, okay? I could be just talking out, but I have heard maybe somebody mention that.
the only thing I was told about was there was an individual on rescue.
Yeah, well, there may also be an individual on dive, and even if I did know that information, I don't think it'd be right to disclose who that person was because of the medical concerns or the HIPAA, whatever. I'm not a nurse like Julie is, but I just know that stuff's kind of sensitive sometimes, and maybe the person doesn't want that, information out there.
Understandable.
But I just think that maybe Teresa was questioning the workers' compensation on that because of the fact that if there was a previous event and it was covered, then this whole we've got to pay them per call doesn't make sense. And I don't know if there's other.
That's how fire protection districts do it.
Right. That is how fire protection districts do it. And there's an entire state statute devoted for fire protection districts.
When was the injury is what I'm asking you.
No idea, Sonny.
Right, well, the problem is, I think you have bad information because I did check on that and I had none.
Okay. Well, like I said, the person that was kind of at the team since inception, it was kind of his baby and kind of turned literally nothing into something pretty amazing was Scott. And Scott might have that information. Maybe he's willing to share that with you. He's a private individual now, so he's not reportable to you guys. You know, he doesn't have to.
Well, technically, you shouldn't have that information.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you shouldn't have it. Well,
If it came to the commander's hands, yeah, he probably would. But I don't know.
Is Teresa going to return?
I don't know. She has not texted me back as of yet. I mean, she's read the message, so I'm hoping that she will respond.
How many you need?
It's not a matter of what we need, it's a matter of trying to repair some damage that has been done. And if we want to move forward, somebody is going to have to take the first step.
You gotta have
If it has to be
quorum.
me, that's fine.
They have a quorum right now. That's not what she's
Yeah,
getting
but
at.
we're
She
not
wants to
looking
have the majority, like all the people
We're
here
not,
for a
just because
discussion.
Julie shows up, we're not gonna move on.
Oh,
That's
You
what
can lead
she
a horse
said.
to water, but
That's
you
why I
can't make
said.
him drink.
Well, I'm not gonna move on unless Teresa comes back.
Why?
oh, okay. Did you get a hold of her?
That's,
She's already went home. She's not coming back.
That's what?
I'm
We have a
not,
quorum.
no, yeah, exactly, but I'm not gonna start everything up because she left.
Why?
Because I don't necessarily agree with that. She showed up late,
She
Teresa left. We
told
didn't
the
have-
full
we
committee
did-
she was gonna show up
Right,
late
but we
from
didn't,
this
but we did
afternoon.
not have a quorum for however long,
Which
and
you
I'm not
can,
gonna start that. Hang on a second, just because somebody else shows up.
So the county's business doesn't get done because of your preference?
Because people have left.
technically, I'm not trying to stir the pot here, but as vice chairman, if you decide to leave or the meeting's over, he can continue the meeting.
We
If
don't
he
have
can-
a quorum.
If
We
he
don't
can
have
reach a quorum.
Yeah.
If he can reach a quorum.
But people have already left.
The meeting should always be concluded properly. That's kind of meetings, and the proper way to do that, if there is no quorum in the middle of a meeting, is to get somebody here so that you can go ahead and vote to adjourn or vote
We've
to
done that
recess.
before. We've called people when enough people didn't show up in different committees. We've called people for them to show up so that we could have a quorum and have the meeting at the scheduled time.
Well,
Do you need to call?
do you want to make a motion to continue this then?
Absolutely, I'll make a motion, we continue this meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor? Say aye.
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 All right, 3 against 1.
Okay, did you get my minutes? I'm sorry, today was the busiest day ever. Did you get my minutes that I sent from the last meeting? Oh. What do we do now?
Where were we at? Dive team resolution updating. Discussion and vote, send full board. It was voted and seconded. And we need, if you want to read mine, I kind of,
Here, I'll give you a,
So I was listening and I saw where the change was made about having to pay per call. And then, what I got busy when you were talking about the commander. What did we do about that?
so in the first resolution we passed, 23-30, we struck out page 1, last paragraph. We struck that out and made it read that we would utilize the existing command structure.
Right, for 60 days or something?
Right.
Mhm.
Well, with no existing command structure, we have to put back that the dive team commander and assistant commander or commanders be appointed by the board chairman. And there's additional language in there for future. It says that the Shelby County Dive Team Commander and Assistant Commander or Commanders be duly appointed by the Shelby County Board Chairman using consideration of the members of the Shelby County Dive Team in addition to recommendations from Public Safety Committee with advice and consent of the Shelby County Board. So we're taking into consideration any members that are on the team we're taking into consideration the recommendations of public safety, and it's up to the full board. It's not in any one person or one small committee's power. It is dispersed back to the full board.
We already have a,
There's, I'm sorry.
go ahead. I thought you were done.
Oh. There is also an issue in here where if there becomes an issue with the commander, how that is resolved. And that commander, I'll just read it. In the event the Shelby County Dive Team commander fails to comply with requirements as established, the Public Safety Committee shall work with the commander to correct the issue. If the matter is not resolved and the failure persists, the county board chair shall have the power to suspend the commander. The commander shall have the right to request a review of the alleged failure to the Shelby County Board. Upon application for such review from the commander, the Shelby County Board will determine the direction and outcome of the suspension. The commander shall have 5 business days to apply in writing to Shelby County Board for a review of any such suspension. So again,
It's not a unilateral.
there can't
1%.
be one guy, one girl has a problem with one guy, one girl. Additionally, the last paragraph had a major reboot. In cases of emergency regarding Shelby County Dive Team, said emergency shall be communicated with the Shelby County Dive Commander, the Public Safety Chair, as well as the County Board Chairman. Advice from the county's legal advisor will dictate the appropriate actions to properly handle the emergency. The power to suspend operations of the Shelby County Dive Team to ensure health, safety, and welfare of others of Shelby County, as well as the health, safety, and welfare of the members of the Shelby County Dive Team, shall lie in the hands of the Shelby County Board and require a majority vote from the same to suspend operations. So again, this committee can't, one person can't. It goes back to the full 22-member board.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I be recognized?
I think we're officially in the meeting.
You're okay if you allow it. I mean, you don't have to allow it. Okay.
Julie, there was another concern on page 2 in the training recommendations that we addressed, sorry. And the commander of the dive team is responsible for the training. It's how it has to be. In every other organization, that's the way that it is. The leader's in charge of the training. So the commander will submit annually the year's training schedule. This is what we're going to do. And essentially the Public Safety Committee will sign off on it. That's the oversight. The Public Safety Committee knows what's going on and they approve it. Now, if something happens on a Wednesday and they have training on that night or Thursday and they need to change that. If conditions arise that require a change in the training schedule or conditions arise that indicate a change in the training schedule would be more beneficial to Shelby County Dive Team, the commander will communicate those needs and request a change with Public Safety Committee Chairman. If the Public Safety Chairman is unavailable, the needs and request for a training change will be made directly to the County Board Chair. No training shall take place without prior approval. This gives the commander the opportunity to change that. This happens all the time. Certain training pops up. You know how it is.
So the annual training is basically like a preliminary.
Yeah.
This is what I have scheduled, what I know is coming, but throughout the year, if instances arise or the need is there, we can schedule additional. This is a minimum training.
You can schedule additional, or you could change one. Say, well, we're supposed to train next Wednesday, but it's pouring down rain and there's some swift water we can go practice in.
Okay.
Go change. That's fine.
Okay.
That gives the commander the ability to properly keep the volunteers trained, and then it provides the oversight that the county board has to have.
Okay.
Pretty much just In case of an inspection, like let's just say fire protection districts, the fire marshal comes in or OSHA comes in and they want to see records. Well, what do you have planned? Well, this is what we have planned, this is what we've done, this is what's signed off. All it is a paper trail.
I know there was some concern about paragraph 2, page 2 earlier with full board. Shelby County Dive Team Commanders shall create and coordinate training exercises and standards congruent to the emergency response diving international standards. That is not something that I pulled out of thin air. That is what the former dive team was training to anyway. There were requests or conversations about training to something else, and so I found out what they were already training, what standards they were training to, and included that here. So that's not something that they're not or weren't doing, I should say.
Is there any further discussion?
I'd be recognized before there's a vote taken. That's all I'm requesting. It's up to the chairman. Please.
Does anybody have an issue?
I do not.
Okay. I'm going to be as respectful as I can because I think we made some positives here tonight. That document would basically be the resolution that would serve as whatever dive team the county works with. I think it might be appropriate. It's a draft, and Sonny admitted it's a draft, and he's put a lot of hard work into it. But I think it would be appropriate if you guys tabled it just to have input from either other dive teams or some of the former members of this dive team. Just to see if there was anything missed. You guys, might not get any.
I respect that.
I mean, it's just a suggestion, and it would be a good sign of good faith to possibly work in a good direction.
I respect that, and I think that's an idea. I think at some point, somebody's gonna have to sit down with some members of the former dive team and work this out. I don't care if it's me, I don't care who it is, but the problem I have with that, I shouldn't say problem, the issue, the concern I have with that, is when we had this meeting the last time on the resolution, I took the resolution and I sat right in the courtroom with Austin, and we went through it line by line by line. And I mean, literally, I had the piece of paper and then I brought it to closed session. And we passed it, everybody was happy with it, we moved on from that.
Respectfully, I think I answered that. There was a concern about the 60-day amendment. And that was discussed in closed session, but I don't think it was discussed in the presence of the other dive members and also the dive commander. And that was taken because it said current command structure in place for the next 60 days. That was taken to mean...
revamp the SOP.
Right, but that wasn't taken that way. It was taken as the current commander could keep his job for 60 days.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when we voted to release the minutes, I voted to open the minutes so that that could be heard, that was the idea, but that did not pass. So those minutes stayed closed. Because in that discussion, it was said, those 60 days will allow for the commander to sit with the committee who knows nothing about to develop new SOP.
Right.
So that's...
And all my request is to table it until some other dive teams, you could reach out to some other dive teams or even former members of the current, or the former dive team for some input. And you don't have to take their suggestions, but you could at least hear them.
So question, what would it hurt if we just get started on this?
We can always, if they will agree to sit down with us.
That way we don't have to hear, you guys don't do anything, you're not doing anything, you're not doing anything, which is what we keep hearing. What is it gonna hurt to just start somewhere?
Because I haven't seen that document. I don't think you read the entire thing.
Would you like for me to read it?
I had plenty of time to read sit here just now and read the entire thing.
Sure, I know it's not a long document by any means, but
I mean, we've been here for quite a while.
Clint hasn't seen it either. I mean, have you? We don't know what's in it.
I'm more than happy to let you read it. I will sit here till you get read.
The thing is, we can pass the resolution,
And if we can get people to sit down, maybe we can use that as a bargaining tool. I don't know.
But-
We can always amend it. Nothing is ever final. Nothing cannot ever be undone.
I understand what you're saying there, but usually when committees pass resolutions to the full board just votes to approve the adoption, and then the resolution becomes law. I mean, there might be a little discussion inside the full board, but they're not gonna rework this entire document in the full board, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like, it's
I
pretty
mean,
much
we did that with the other resolution and we're redoing it now.
Right, but the other resolution, like I just spoke about, was discussed in closed session, and yes, somebody may have had the opportunity to review it beforehand, but then there was amendments made to it. And this is a repeal and a replace, so, I mean, I haven't even seen it, so I can't comment on what my thoughts are of it. I know the original resolution had some issues that they tried to iron out, but it's always beneficial to the public's interest if the resolution passed to the full board. That's why committees exist, because they can do kind of the homework of it.
And we're trying to pass it.
I think the homework of it includes seek some input from other dive teams or seek some input from other former dive members. I mean, you may disagree. I think sometimes it's important just to, instead of just the public's perception is what you guys are doing tonight,
Okay.
is just ramming something right down to the full board.
Point of order.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to speak? So we can just clear it, get it done over with?
Sure, go ahead.
Does anybody have any further questions?
Yes, so I have done everything he's asked. This is what's led to this document.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's in the draft state, we can't put it out to anyone. You know what I mean? Like, we can't, once it's passed and we accept it, then everybody can see it. But when it's a draft, it's only a temporary document. So in order to get things finalized so that we can potentially work with or maneuver with other members of the dive, the former dive members, whatever, we have to have a document that we can publish, basically. Is that the right way? Am I saying it right?
I believe so, it makes sense to me.
But
Yeah.
the appearance of this agenda item is to send it to the full board where it just be rubber stamped and passed. I hope that's not the process that's gonna go on here. I hope that there's going to be some intermediary time where that's why I suggested maybe just tabling it, because you can have follow-up meetings where you revise this draft, and then pass it to the full board.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's appropriate to get it
Well,
right.
I get that.
Mr. Chairman, time is of the essence as the spring rains are coming quickly. If we don't have a resolution where we can appoint a chairman or a commander, we're not gonna have a dive team.
Yeah.
So this document can be amended if the commander, the board, if there's language in there that the board wants to strike, or later we find a commander that doesn't, it's malleable. This gives us the first step. All the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. Now we can work out from this. The other one, the resolution 2320 or 2330 did not solve all the problems. This does.
I guess maybe if time is of the essence, there's always the other option too. As the chairman, you can call a special meeting, next week to adopt it formally to the board.
And the board doesn't meet, and the board meets tomorrow.
Point of order. Is there any further discussion on the document? All in favor to send this to the full board, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Julie, are you keeping notes, or Annette, are you keeping notes?
I will go back with the video and redo the notes.
Awesome.
Okay.
I didn't know.
All right, so we'll move
I just
on.
wanted to have the vote accurate.
Number 8, Sheriff Department updates. Sheriff, I want your turn.
Yes.
Same agenda, correct?
Yes.
So in past board meetings, we had resolutions to surplus some vehicles, and they were to be opened at the February 1st meeting. It did not get on the agenda, so it's been added to the full board agenda to actually accept those bids or review them, but I have the bids and they've not been opened yet, so we can at least look at them. It's a bid from Tim Baumgarten for, he's got a bid on the Ford Explorer.
You just wanna make different piles for.
Yeah, but so, yeah, I don't know, some of these might have multiple vehicles on them, but I'll try to. Like, here's a bid from Clayton Carpenter, and it has all 4 vehicles as a bid on there, so. Here's a little more, and that's for the Impala.
Oh, there's too much space.
Miller. He's got another bid for the Impala.
Do any of them state if they're going into service for another department?
So far, I'd say we're seeing private individuals, so.
Do you have to be the one that opens those, or do you want me to help you open them?
Sure, you can help me out.
You're struggling in that
Yeah,
chair.
yeah. It was taken, it was too good. Here's another for the F-150.
Right inside.
What did it say about that?
It says the person's name. Oh, Impala. This says he's bidding on the Impala, but he didn't write it inside.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Impala.
Here's another Impala bid, Robert Fraser. Here's another Impala bid.
Somebody wants an Impala, huh?
What else? Tell me what his bid is. Unless I'm missing the other.
Oh, did it fall out?
I don't know, that's well, like, here's one, from the same individual for the F-150, and it's got a mount on it, I don't see a mount on it.
Oh, he didn't. Oh. That's unfortunate.
Put what his bid was.
He did. Google Docs or whatever he did converted the amount into a date.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what you do with that.
Okay, well, put it in the.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the Impala.
And what was that one?
Ford truck.
Okay, here's the F-150, here's the F-150.
I mean, because this one has a date, that one doesn't have a date. That's exactly what that looks like.
Here's one from Josh Bain on the Ford F-150, this is the last one.
No, that's just a, I'm done.
Oh, these are just envelopes? Okay.
Yeah.
Julie's on it.
I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. I'm ready to go.
So these are all Impala? 1,200, 3,000, 52,
And
56.
this one does have an Impala bid on it also, because it's got all of them.
505, is that right, 09?
That's what it looks like to me.
So this one has Chevy Impala, $505. This one has $1,757. This one has $1,200. This one has $3,000. This one has $5,265.
Well, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. There is one bid for, no, I'm wrong. This is a bid for the 2010 Ford Explorer. 2010 Ford Explorer. This bid is for $1,251. This one is for $2,952.
And none of these are going to, or all these are going to private individuals?
It doesn't say chief of police or Mattoon PD or anything like that. Chevrolet Express van, 3,500. This bid is for $510. This bid is for $1,000. This is for an 03 Ford F-150, 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 and that's this one. So this one is for $2,600. This one is for $4,100. This one is for $1,200. This one is for $1,251. This one is for $3,510. So we'll award this one, and these are stricken, and award that one.
So what was the van?
The G3500 van, $1,000 was the highest bid. The other bids were lower. I don't know what any of these vehicles are worth. We have the right to refuse any bid. I'm sure that's what the language said in the...
Do you know what the van, I mean, is it like a big van or minivan?
It's a 15-passenger van.
You see in here for
Yeah.
G3500 van. I
It
don't
was an
know,
old
Haul a lot of
Chevy.
immigrants in that.
right there.
What's that?
You could haul a lot of immigrants in that.
You could.
The other bid we received was for $510. If the sheriff
Take them back where they came
is
from?
not interested in accepting the bid, what about the 03 for $4,100?
If we're not interested in the bid for what?
The van or any of these? I mean,
Well, the
these-
van is not, it was probation.
Yeah, that was probation.
Oh, that's probation.
It hasn't started in years. You're asking my opinion, I'd take the money and.
Oh, I thought it was in service.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So are we okay? We need to vote on that, to recommend that? I think we probably should. You're good with it?
I think you're gonna have to take action on it tomorrow night. It's on the agenda for tomorrow night's meeting.
Okay,
So
so
we open them tonight, but
do we need
we
to,
do the official accept.
so we don't need to do anything?
No, we're just opening them
I
tonight.
would keep the other ones with them,
Yep.
but then we will keep the,
Well, hang on, see what he said.
we will keep the larger amounts separate.
And then I guess the other thing you need to decide is the dive team truck, it needs to be stripped,
Yeah.
because it has emergency lights and radio that
And
need to
that's
come
this
out.
03
And- yes,
F-150.
right. So I don't know what your plan was to who would strip it. If you want me to contact Global Tech to do that, I can.
Is that who does?
Just a question, when those vehicles are stripped, are what's stripped off, are they still usable?
Yes.
Should be.
It'll just go
Because
on
I
the next
think
vehicle.
Animal Control was asking about lights and things for their truck.
Yeah,
So
they-
rather than scrap them, could we?
It's not, they won't be scrapped, they'll be kept. But as far as I know, Animal Control, that vehicle's getting whatever that box was, it should already have the lights and stuff.
Oh, okay, all right.
This 2010 Ford Explorer for $2,952 seems,
I didn't look it up or anything, so.
right.
I mean,
Is it,
But it hasn't been used in like 4 years, right?
No, it's probably not set that long, but,
is this one of the full
it
size?
needs a new battery, but it will jump and start, yeah. And it's the old style Ford Explorer, not
big
like
one.
yeah.
Are you comfortable with taking that?
You know, it's either that or, you know, I have no idea what, you know,
What else you would
yeah,
do?
what else we'd be able to get for it, like what a dealer trade would give for it.
I mean, the 03 F-150 for $4,100 and this 09 Impala for $5,265, those aren't really a question to me. Those seem in line, unless I'm wrong.
I have no idea about
Yeah.
that.
I'm fine with seeing all these.
It's just this 2010 Explorer for less than 3,000 and that 2000 van for 1,000.
But they're not being used.
It's a lot more than you'd get from scrapyard.
Well,
Ford.
sure.
Got some miles on it, doesn't it, Sheriff?
I think so, yeah.
Take the money and run.
So those are the top four.
These here,
That's the highs and those are the lows, yeah. And I scratched out the multi-bidder. I scratched out the non-winning bids and circled the one winning bid.
Sheriff, you have anything else?
No, the only other thing, I guess, a little bit of an update that kind of spins off Stan's agenda is I do have a copy, emergency operation plan for, that I've given to, Scott McKee, and he's working on it too, and it's basically a displaced migrants, for some reason, if we've had this question asked, like, what would happen if, if we had a bus pull up and unload them, and so we are working on an operation plan modeled after what some other counties are already doing to, figure out what we're gonna do. The only thing that I see that the operation plan might take is transportation, to get them moved on to somewhere that has the facilities to be able to take care of them, which we do not have. And so we would have to decide, the resolution says no money will be spent, but if we're gonna have an operation plan and maybe team up with Central Illinois Transit, and I don't know whether they'd be willing to do for free or, give us a bid for if we needed buses.
I would rather not leave that up to interpretation. Probably need to get that figured out.
And that is being worked on, yes, yeah. Scott's looking into it.
And I know Effingham is working on it, I haven't been in touch with them. So when you're talking to the state's attorney, because that language, because Effingham's a little bit, they got 2 interstates, they got 2 bus stops, and so they've got a little bit more issues with that, but they're working on it. I just haven't seen the language yet. So.
Did anybody get the email from UCCI about the request for assistance with how or what to do for immigrants?
No.
An email, I'm looking at my email on my phone. We got an email.
From who?
This is a organization that county boards work with and answer to. Okay.
Let's get all this set up, figured out first, and then we will open the floor up to public comment.
Okay.
If you want to look that up, you can bring it up in new business, or you can do it now, whatever. Was that it, Sheriff?
That's
okay. EMA is not here. Dive team, animal control.
I have an email update from her if you'd like me to read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, she is ill. That's why she's not here. The only additional update is, number 1, I am awaiting 2 local bids, local to Central Illinois bids, for the installation of the truck topper. Once it arrives from the builder in Texas, there will not need to be discussion of shipping the truck to Texas for install. The Stewartson Intergovernmental Agreement for Animal Control will be resent with the updated 2020 census once I speak with the contact person there, once she is back to work. She sent us an email earlier that was prior to the original meeting, that seems to be working pretty feverishly to get things squared away in animal control, and it seems like things are
Great job.
going well there. That's what I'm gathering, so I commend her for her efforts.
I did want to ask on that about the changing the title of, you asked me to talk to her about changing Dr. Spessert's.
Oh,
How how, is that something that Bobby, because that's an appointed, chairman appointed position, does he need to?
The deputy,
No, well, Dr. Spessard was the administrator.
correct.
So does the chairman need to get with, just kind of as a courtesy, say to him, or is it okay for Angela to call and say, hey, I've been appointed administrator?
I'll look it up if you need me to, but the way I understand, the administrator is to appoint and
Okay.
hire such deputy administrators and wardens as are necessary.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
I can relook that up and,
No, I agree with you. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, as,
yeah, I think it's,
before, I didn't want to set Angela up for something wrong if
yeah,
that wasn't the way to do it.
yeah, I can dig into that just a little bit and verify, but I honestly think it's nothing more than a word change,
Sure.
or an added word rather, because he's the deputy administrator now,
Mhm.
and carry on.
Sure, okay.
I don't think, but I'll look into it.
Is that it for animal control?
Yes, that's all I have.
All right, old business, windows. So, me and the sheriff had a walkthrough with Heritage Builders, what, 2 months ago maybe?
With Heritage?
Yeah, well, the two guys with Heritage and then it was Utz.
Okay.
And then Utz and Associates at the middle of January, walked through with the,
Pella window guy.
was it, okay,
I
I
believe.
wasn't sure which one it was.
Yeah, and there was,
And they are figuring out how much or whatever it's gonna cost. And then I would assume after that would be,
well, I think they're trying to figure out like what the windows need to be able to release the bid specs so we can get bids turned in on it.
okay,
Is like, they're trying to figure out like how much work each window needs, cause some openings need more work than others.
and that's what the Pella guy was here for, is to the extent
Yeah, to
of,
talk about different types of glass and,
and then they said what, probably the middle of February.
yeah,
I sent an email 2 days ago and I was like, hey, any update, anything? And I have got nothing back.
Right.
So,
I don't even know what to do there, because you need to know what we need so that we can commit funds, but there aren't gonna be any funds.
well, the last time
We're
I
gonna-
got a really good response was when I CC'd the state's attorney in with it, so that might have to be the other option.
I mean, if we keep moving the windows down the road, and then, you know, we get an estimate that's $2 million, every ounce of work that anyone's done on the window project is wasted. So we don't have $2 million.
I thought we talked about doing one floor at a time, if that happens.
Well, I sent an email, and regardless of what floor it was on, the ones that are falling out need to be done first, or the ones that have fell out.
There needs to
Be
be,
done first.
windows need to be categorized,
Right.
1 being the worst and 10 being, or, there's actually 100 windows, so 1 being the best and, or worst, and 100 being the, I don't know.
Yeah,
But I agree with you. The ones that are falling out need addressing
or
before
one
we
fell out. But I will send another email after we adjourn here, and just, I guess I'll just have to do it every day until I get an answer. Anything else for old business? New business?
Just on that email, it was sent February 6th from UCCI about the issue request for information for the follow-up for the migrant issue.
And I didn't get it. I've
Well,
had,
I'll forward it to the full board then.
yeah, because I've been having conversations with other members, and you had a conversation at this last public safety meeting that you had sent an email and another member of this committee hadn't received it, and
Teresa and I got that cleared up. She sent me the email from her Yahoo address.
you said.
When I responded to her Yahoo address,
well,
so
I
I
was
resent
just-
it to her county board.
Okay, I was just trying to raise the concern because I do not have anything from UCCI except for what was the last thing? I don't have anything on the stage from them.
Anything else for new business? All right, we'll move on to 14, public body comment. Public body comment.
Shelly has his hand up.
Ladies
All right.
No, it's fine, you go right.
No, go ahead.
Okay. My question, I want to go back to the insurance question again. As far as the statute for work comp coverage, it says paid or unpaid in that statute. So, correct, am I correct?
In what statute?
In the work comp statute.
I didn't read the work comp statute. I can't answer that question.
Okay, so you didn't read the work, so where did you come up with the $20 if you didn't read the statute?
From advice from CIRMA and Gallagher Insurance, his name's Rich. I don't recall exactly what his position is, but it's higher than an agent.
Okay, and then my other question goes, and I know this is not a topic on public safety, but for public body comment, I could ask any question. It doesn't have to pertain to the agenda. My question is going back again to the rescue squad. If they are not paid, then they are not covered under workman's comp, and as what you stated in this meeting. So my question goes, if they are not covered under workman's comp, and the reason that the dive team was stood down was because of no insurance coverage, can you explain to me why you decided to shut down the dive team and not the rescue squad? Because if it was truly an insurance issue, it applied to both the rescue squad and the dive team. The rescue squad actually gets called out, I believe, more than the dive squad does. So they are out putting themselves in harm's way more than what the dive team is. So can you tell me why you specifically just chose that one area when it applies to all?
No, I can't.
Okay, and then the other question is, you said mistakes, you had made mistakes, which I appreciate that you acknowledge that. My question is, can you specify what mistakes you made and what you will do to correct that in the future?
How much time do you have?
I forgot to say 3 minutes, so I can't really.
Well, it's only my speaking time, not when he's talking. My speaking
I understand that,
time
but
is
I
the
can't tell you
only.
your time's up because I never specified it.
Addresses what, to fix what you did.
Look, I'm far from perfect. I never said I was, I never professed to be. There were communication issues that I wish I had not said. I didn't mean them the way they sounded, but could very easily take a step back and recognize that that was not received the way I intended. Receiving something is as important as the person saying it and the person receiving it. So I can appreciate that. We could be here all night if we want to talk about mistakes that I've made. This resolution that we've passed to send to the full board is a step in the direction of making things right, making things better, fixing some of the problems and mistakes that were made. The public body the public has had a massive outcry as to the authority that one person has to do this. I don't disagree. That's why I wrote in there that no one person has that authority. It wasn't written down before. It's written down now. That's what I'm trying to do to fix problems. There was an issue It was a significant issue. The seesaw operations, from the moment it occurred, was a temporary issue that I spent hours that week. Hours. Other members of the board spent hours trying to resolve it so that at the special meeting we could get it fixed. And that was our intent and that was our goal. And that's what we walked out and that's what we passed, was a resolution to end the stand down order, put the entire team back in the water just the way they were the day before. Everything went sideways, and I really don't know why. Now, there's been a lot of accusations levied. You know, I've been told I'm the problem more than once. I'm not quitting. I won't quit. And I'll tell you why. Because as has been pointed out in this meeting, unfortunately it took 23 years for me to find the problem that was there, and I didn't find it. It was delivered to me. This is a problem. This is a big problem. I'm the one that put this thing forward because the last thing I could possibly imagine was for one of those men or one of those women to become hurt, and we had not done our job to protect them. That is an act of negligence that I was not going to stand for. Was everything done right? No. Were my intentions all good? Absolutely. Did I want Austin removed as the commander? Absolutely not. At no point. What happened was we got in this closed session. By the way, those minutes are released, Julie.
Oh, I thought those were the ones we did release.
The whole audio is released. You can hear the whole entire audio. We got in here and I failed in the original resolution. All the 10 or 15 people that worked on the resolution had failed because the resolution said that the chairman was to appoint the commander. And when we looked at the full board agenda, there was no agenda item to appoint a commander. So we were going to walk out of the July meeting without a commander because we had no way to appoint one. And we all unanimously, the entire board unanimously agreed to leave the commander and the assistant commanders, the command structure the way it was, everything was left in place because that was the intent. That was my desire, and that was the desire of 21 other members of this board, was that they stay in place and we could walk out of here that night knowing that they were protected, that their families were protected, and that the taxpayers of this county were also protected. This issue of workers' compensation. I'm not a workers' compensation lawyer. I barely understand it. But when I have executives from CIRMA telling me this is what needs to be done so that I can authoritatively tell you we will cover your members under workers' compensation, you can betcha that's what I'm writing in the resolution. So all of this, from the front to the back, has been to protect the dive members, to protect the county taxpayers, and for us to have continued on with the county overseeing the dive team and the dive team taking care of the citizens that visit the waterways of Shelby County. That was my goal. That was my objective. This fixes everything that was broken with the first one. And with the passage of this, there is no reason why any of those former members need to feel that their voices won't be heard, that somehow I'm out to get them and so they can't possibly work under the Public Safety Committee. The whole purpose of ensuring that they were under public safety is it took it from a 3-member board to a 7. by definition, that strips me of power. So this notion that I'm power hungry and I want to be in charge of everything, why on earth would have I done that if I wanted to be in charge? A 3-member board needs 2 people, me and one other. A 7-member board requires a lot higher threshold for things to happen. So all of this nonsense that's been said about I don't care about people and I don't care about families is just false. I've been in emergency services for 20 years. I know about this stuff. And when you talk to the insurance agent, you ask them a point-blank question, and they give you a runaround, the fact that there are multiple pages of emails that you have to read in order to get an answer tells you just about everything you need to know as to whether or not they were properly covered. So I hope that answers your question. I don't hate any of the members of the dive team. I bumped heads with Austin Pritchard, no doubt. I've bumped heads with him before. But if something bad happened in this building right now, he and I would be shoulder to shoulder to get the job done. Because that's how it works. And I'm not going to walk away. I'm not going to walk away because for 23 years, this issue hasn't been addressed. I'm no hero, but I'm the one that brought it up. Thank you for your question. I hope that answers it.
Public comment?
So Sonny, who informed you to bring it up?
Bring what up?
You said that someone informed you that there were things being done wrong.
A former,
So who did
a fellow board member.
What board member?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. If you can tell us who it is, it doesn't mean anything.
Right, doesn't mean anything.
So I went to dive team meetings and the rescue squad meetings. I listened to you. I sat there. You had made indications that you would do things to help the dive team. If you ever did anything to help the dive team, I wish you would make us a list and show it to us.
Jake,
So are you going to prove in a court of law we didn't have an insurance? Are you going to prove they did anything wrong that would break the law? Or you just wanted to say we shouldn't have a dive team? And where did you get your information from? Where are you getting your proof from? Who told you to do that? You're saying someone told you? Who told you? It doesn't mean anything when you say a member of the board told you. What member? Who was it? Of course you're not going to answer it.
I'll answer. Do you want an answer?
Sure.
I was allowing you your 3 minutes, sir.
Okay. He doesn't give us any time limit.
The rules say 3.
No, he didn't.
The board, this committee rules say 3 minutes.
Before it started, he didn't say.
It doesn't matter. The board rules stand.
I think the question just to be answered would say,
Well, I
a lot of the back and forth. We can argue about 3 minutes for 20 minutes.
What he was saying was that he didn't start the timer on Tricia, so that's.
I heard it too, just.
So no one did anything wrong.
Jake, you were at some of those meetings, and you're absolutely right when you say that, when you repeat what I said, that I wanted to help them. One of the first questions out of my mouth.
Did you ever help them? You said you would about the first meeting. Did you ever actually bring anything up on an agenda of the county board meeting?
I'm not going to answer questions if I'm not allowed to speak, so move
Okay.
on.
I don't see that the dive team members ever did anything wrong that can be proven. All I see is a bunch of false accusations, just like we've had about everybody else. So that's my say.
Public comment?
Yeah, just to clarify, I didn't point the finger at you in 23 years. It's amazing that the insurance company found it. That was directed as I can't believe it's taken 23 years to discover that. And again, it's my opinion, but I think some verbiage was discussed with the insurance company. That's why certain things have transpired and now they have to be covered because of the verbiage and how it was put together. I mean, for the life of me, I would be ticked to no end, know that I've been paying insurance for X amount of years and something catastrophic happens and we're not covered. I mean, that just blows my mind to no end. But it's the path moving forward, put the cart, and get going. It's just a lot of confusion. You said it a while ago, you and I can't have a conversation. Because as you browse through social media. Certain elected officials do make comments out there, but they give you enough to feed on, and those questions never get answered.
What do you want to know?
I'm just speaking.
Okay.
So it is a outcry of the public. Everybody's pissed. Everybody is tired of watching the tax dollars go out. Now, as my 26 years of emergency services volunteering across this county, fire departments, rescue squad, sheriff's office, I don't agree with paying $20. This is the county. Every time that pager goes off, if he gets 1022, once he answers that pager, you're going to be paying it. You know how many times that the rescue squad or dive team has gotten paged out? You can't put a dollar figure on that budgetary.
Well,
You're talking 3,500, it could be 4,000, it could be 6,000. We don't know what that is. If somebody's going to volunteer and put their heart into it, if it comes down to that, pay them $1.
I said it wasn't enough. I said 5.
It sounds like a recruiting.
No,
figure.
it's not. I serve for one department, I make $5. I serve for another department, and I make 80. He chuckled at 5. He said, I understand that was probably established in 1970. And I said, you're probably right. And he said, it has to be something more substantial than 5. And we went back and forth. I said, what about 10? He's like, you're getting more. It is not a payment. So this is where it's twisted legally. It is a reimbursement of expenses. You have an expense to go and respond. We are recuperating some of those expenses through a payment process. That makes you that makes you a paid volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if you're not a paid volunteer, you're considered a general contractor. And you should provide your own workers' compensation if you're I said general, I apologize, I meant elementary. Well, I just want to get my words right. If you're an unpaid volunteer, you need your own workers' compensation insurance because you're considered an independent contractor. And I think that's ludicrous to expect our volunteers to have to provide their own workers' compensation insurance. And if $20 meets the threshold, then I'm all about it. And quite frankly, they were never paid before.
That's right.
$20 to me is a ludicrous number in so much that I know how long some of those take. And don't forget, I served on that dive team too. And we spent hours, I don't even remember how many hours it was, on one call. So paying them $20 is quite frankly a laughable number if anyone considers that any kind of compensation. This meets a legal threshold to provide protection to both the volunteer and the county taxpayers.
So are you going to 1099 them?
No.
Or are you going to W2 them? Or W4, I'm sorry.
Yes, we will have to collect taxes on that, and they will, the conversations that have been had with the treasurer so the amount is baked into the resolution so that that's established. It can't be changed and modified easily in an SOP. And another thing that this does is it sends those SOPs to the full board from this committee, and it puts them on file at the clerk's office so that we don't have to, the next generation doesn't have to hunt for them. They're readily on file. But
so
the SOP will have how and when. The treasurer believes that because of the amount and because of the frequency, a biannual payment makes sense. On one, I'm paid monthly, on another, I'm paid biannually. So that's in line with other emergency services departments, and because of the scope, the treasurer thought that would be sufficient, so yeah.
Due to certain possible volunteers in their career path, if, I don't want to word that, if a certain volunteer wishes to waive that fee due to certain reasons, are they covered under workman's comp?
I mean, that's a question I would have to ask. I can't answer that. I don't know.
Because you know for yourself, certain statutory wise,
I
they
would-
limit you payment of certain things.
Well, no, I don't know, but, are you speaking to a specific that you don't want to acknowledge?
No, I'm just, if you are an appointed position and you're being paid for it, but you hold I'm sure there's a statutory reason.
Oh,
So if somebody wishes to volunteer and wishes to waiver it, for whatever reason it may be, will they be covered? Let's just play that. If they wish to waiver that fee, would they be covered?
I don't have an answer to your question. I don't have a direct answer to your question. That's a great question, but-
We use the term that this is what fire districts do, so I will put a perspective in it because we need to steer off that. We're the county and the fire district is.
I agree.
My trustee days of being in a fire district, I didn't draw the $10 a month that they, at that time, put together just because I was paid as a trustee. Statutory wise, I could not collect, and it's double dipping.
Well,
So I wish to favor that
Okay.
and continue my service.
so in lieu of that, you were still, but the argument could still be made that you were compensated for actions involving that. You weren't getting this, but you were getting this from essentially the same place. So if that arose, say the person's a county employee, we would have to ask. I don't
I'm just
know.
asking the question.
That is a very good question. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, we would
Because,
cross that bridge when we get there, or I can
Well,
ask and find
If
out.
you don't ask and somebody steps into it,
we'll
next thing you know, they're
definitely
in
ask
trouble.
Yeah.
and find out, so thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Was that all?
Yeah.
Qualified comment? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to address what Sheriff spoke about on the buses unloading or something. He said somebody else is working on that. You know, and I talked to several board members about enforcement of all this. How do you enforce that? Like I said earlier, Effingham has got more entry points than what we have. But, you know, I mean, we've seen them, my son has. They'll pull in Walmart, they'll get all off, go shop, get on, and leave. I mean, how are you going to enforce, you know, when they get off? Say we don't have no truck stops here, but they pull in, they fuel up, they get off, go to the bathroom. So I see an enforcement thing. I think you and I talked about this too. I don't know the I don't know the answer, but because you know my first draft, I tried to address that and it just wasn't going to fly. And so I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there for some information or whatever on that because I see it being a problem, but I don't know how you solve it or take care of it.
Well, I don't know as I'd call this an enforcement action. This is more of a logistics help. I mean, initially when I was asked, what are you gonna do if a busload of, immigrants come? And my first thought was, well, unless they commit a crime here, nothing. I'm not responsible for
Right.
housing them or feeding them. That's some other agency's responsibility. But however, the reality is, like I said, I'm looking at some of these other counties, and they're basically figuring them a way to get them up to Cook County where currently they have resources. Now they might be getting maxed out, but they were the ones that volunteered to openly take them, house them, and do something with them. So,
But how do you know? I mean, what I was trying to ask is, how do you know when they get out, they ain't moving on? Or, I mean, how do we, because I don't want no vigilante groups,
I think this was more of a drop-off situation where some type of transportation pulled up, unloaded, and the bus left.
But if they's out in Walmart, you wouldn't know.
Can I just tell you what, I'm going to just give you for informational purposes.
Yeah.
This United Counties Council of Illinois, which is the group that county boards subscribe to for, they said, we've heard from many of you and the overwhelming consensus is that counties do not plan to adopt a resolution or ordinance on the migrant issue at this time. At this time, only Grundy and Effingham counties have passed a resolution. And they included those resolutions as a possible template for anybody who may in the future want to pass a resolution. But I'll make sure to forward that to the full board so that in case anybody didn't get it, they'll have those resolutions.
Well, the one I proposed today was Effingham's. I just reworded it because the one I had last week was Stan's ideas and wasn't going to fly. So I know a board member down there and he sent them to me and they're more reasonable. But one, a resolution is a resolution. It's not law. And two, and this is where the state's attorney come in. If you read the first paragraph and the last paragraph, we understand emergencies come. So basically, the first and the last paragraph nullify the whole dang thing. I mean, cover the legal aspect of it. And you know, when you think about it, things happen. You know, and my point was, what I was wanting to flush out is, how do we know when the bus ain't coming back? You know, and it's not a problem for me. I live out in the country. You know, but here in town, you've got resources, you know, especially like I said, Effingham. You know, they've got so many places to drop off. That bus drops them off and takes out. What do they do? You know, I mean, what do they do? What do they do? And this is insane that we're even talking about this, because it's a humanitarian problem. But it was dumped on us, like I meant, you wasn't here, by the state and the federal governments. They've left us to have to work with us now, and so, you know, it just really upsets me, but it's reality. We're here. And you know, and I've said, I think to this committee, when it warms up, look out. Right now it's cold and they're not moving around. It warms up, look out, they're coming. And like I said earlier, March 16th is the deadline for all Chicago-based housing. They're kicking them out. But there again, that'll be a media crisis because you got a family inside a homeless shelter. How are you going to kick them out? And that's like Minneapolis and some other places. They'll move in a city block, set up their tent cities. You ain't moving them out because you just ain't. I mean, how are you going to kick kids out? How, you know. So, and that was my point earlier. Nip it in the bud, doing old Barney Fives thing. You know, nip it in the bud. But only you're old enough to remember that. But.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
I am. I do remember Barney Five.
Okay. But, you know, like I said, it sucks. It sucks. It really does.
It sucks for them,
But we're here. Well, it sucks for us, too. Because our resources, we're not a rich county, and I'm not a rich man, and I don't like seeing, you know, I mean, I pay my taxes. You know, I have immigrants in my family, legal. So I know what it looks like when they're legal. It's great. It's a beautiful thing. But they're not. And you know, I'm hearing all these horror stories. You know, like the cops got beat up in New York. You know, by 5 guys.
Your time's up.
Okay.
Finish.
Sorry. Because I can go on. I'm passionate about this. So thank you, sir.
Public body comment?
I'd like to speak for a second.
You sound like my wife.
So, on that resolution, the pay per call thing, I think a few of you might want to reach out to some former dive members. I can't speak for all of them, but I think that part of the reason they did what they did is they prided themselves on never taking a dime for their service. And I don't know that they agree with that particular person's interpretation of workers' compensation stuff. And maybe there's some other departments out there that are doing it with $0 unpaid volunteers or something. But it may be worth trying to reach out and trying to have that dialogue or discussion.
Yeah, at first, we should first have Sunny look into can they waive the fee? Because if they can waive it, then that's, you know.
I don't think that some of them's intent is to ever be a paid volunteer. They're only going to do it if they
But
can
if
be
that's
unpaid.
what's required for insurance, they may have to.
Well, they're not under any obligation to join or do anything. Yeah, but I just mean if you're trying to get them back to the table, you may want to have some follow-up discussion or dialogue on that point. Also, maybe before it goes to the full board, you know, maybe have some discussion with them. I know public comment's always at the end of the full board meetings. I don't agree with that. I think it
Emails and
should
phone numbers are always
be at the
available.
beginning. But. And the only other comment I was gonna make is, would a couple of us be okay to take a copy of that draft resolution? I mean, I'd like to read it.
I'll give you mine, but I kind of sweated and ripped it all up, so.
I don't think we should put a draft out there.
It's an internal document.
Well, you just told me I could read the whole thing of it earlier, but okay, I guess.
I mean, you can read it
Request
here
denied.
probably. I don't have a problem with you reading it here, but I don't, the concern would be circulating a draft.
Well,
Draft.
for me, purely to show it to my dad and get his opinion, because I may want to weigh in on his opinion at the board meeting tomorrow night, you know?
Sure, I get it.
I guess request denied.
That's
all I have.
Okay.
Yep.
Public body comment? Public body comment? Public body comment? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Oh, wait, somebody say it. I'll second it. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.
Motion.
I guess I don't understand what the problem is. I don't have a problem with, well, we can't talk because we've
Yeah,
adjourned.
we already have.
Case by case.
What I was meaning is,
Keep me informed. On that day.
hang on, I can't
Because
talk.
you'll probably run through committee again, won't you?
Okay, what did
I'm
I-
sorry,
If he
what?
updates it, you'll probably run through this committee again.
Yeah, it will have to, yes. I mean, so I'm
not
going to
just-
send it to the state attorney, let him look at it. If he's okay with it, then we'll bring it back to next month's meeting.
Well, if he's got somebody else working on it though,
No.
he might want to get their feedback on it.
We're working on an operational plan besides the resolution. Yeah, we're working on an emergency operation plan if it happens.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Over my head.
Yeah.
For
Gotcha.
Had nothing.
Gotcha.
With God or any of that. It was just to get some additional $10. So,
McCarthy's man. Might be an issue. Oh, not proven.
fine.
Yeah. Or say, I don't know if anybody know, well, I know people know how to steal a Hyundai.
What's brutal, guys,